What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Real Estate Uncensored with one of my two best buddies. We've got Gene Volpe here. We've got Greg McDaniel in the co-pilot seat. We're just having a nice little, shall we say, complaint session about California behind the scenes. And we decided to bring the love to you. So we're going live and we're going to talk a little bit. We're also going to talk about marketing in 2021. We talked a little bit a couple weeks ago about just the developments with Clubhouse and things like that. We shot the shit on that. We'll talk about some other things, just being visible and really what the biggest challenges are in marketing this year, what's going on in the world of social media and some different things like that. We're going to riff. We don't have a guest today, so it's we're off the chain again. So before we bring the evil bald ninja in, first, my esteemed colleague, firmly ensconced in the co-pilot seat where you so belong, Greg McDaniel, the Junior Grandmaster. What's up today?
I do belong here. Thank you very much. I have an absolutely raging headache, and no, it's not because of drinking. I just think I have not been taking my high quality H2O, in as much as I should be. So I'm going to let you guys have a lot of fun with this. But yeah, we were definitely bitching about California, potential, some ideas in regards to future plans, all hypothetical, nothing in concrete, just a bunch of three dudes, sitting around just bitching. Right. But Gene doesn't have to worry about that because he doesn't live in California. But again, he's probably hasn't shaved his head in 3 days, but you look extra bald.
I shaved it about 15 minutes ago. Just for you.
Yeah, I think there's a little razor burn up top going on.
There probably is. There could be. Yeah. Literally 10 minutes right before I got in here.
Well, I appreciate you shaving for us. So that's more than I did.
Absolutely. I got to tell you, you start the show out with saying, I got a raging, and I was like, oh shit, where's he going? So
we're just going to talk about big, veiny, pulsating opinions today. Big opinions, like the hardest hitting opinions.
All right, Greg, you're out.
All right. All right. Guys,
it's going to be me from here on out.
It's been.
That's right.
That would have been so funny if he just kicked us off completely.
That would have been funny. He actually kicked himself off. All right. So Nick says, drink your water, slacker. What's up, Nick? We're just talking about your lovely hometown. So I'm going to be checking out the state of Florida over the coming months, probably, a couple of trips over the course of this year. What's funny is, Greg, you were asking me like where I was going to check out, and you correctly guessed that it was, in fact, the Tampa Clearwater area. So we shall see. I don't know anything about it. I've been to a couple of spots in Florida. Greg, I think you're the same way. You've been to like Jacksonville and maybe a couple of other places over the years. But yeah, we're just checking out. Like, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But man, there isn't like the California exodus is real.
It's real. It is really real. I actually had my my best friend's parents, who it popped up on a predictive analytics list that I got. They're leaving at a 97 percentile. I called my best friend. I'm like, Lon, well, his name's Lonnie. I call him Lon Dog. I'm like, Lon Dog, dude, are Craig and Yvonne bailing? He's like, yeah, dude, they're bailing because of the political climate. Then I have my sister and her husband and their kids. They just literally moved last week. They moved up to the foothills. They got out of the Bay Area. My parents are thinking about moving. My uncle in Salinas, he's talking about making a move out of the area. He's going to Arizona where he's building a house. And I'm like, what the shit is going on? Like, are you kidding me? Like, am I the only last holdout? This can't be good.
I know you might be. I was going to say, when you get people that are fifth generation and your parents being fourth generation Californians talking about moving out, something is up. So the recall effort against Newsom just hit 1.5 million signatures. They're going to keep going and try to hit 2 million just so that there's no verification issues that come up. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But the first effect of that seems to be the lifting of the stay-at-home order out here in California due to what is obviously political pressure. There's no scientific or modeling reason you can possibly come up with for that.
Right. And so here's the thing, Gene, I'm going to throw it to you. When it comes to marketing for this thing, how would you market this? Okay, let's say you're going to stay in California, you're going to stay wherever you are in the country, stay in the business and the whole thing. How would you market? How would you leverage this?
leverage what? The political climate, the California exodus? Which of the 7 things we mentioned are you talking about?
I'm just trying to stay the fuck away from political shit, and I'm trying to get you back into fucking marketing. Okay, you fucking whack job.
Let's talk about. So somebody made a good point, and Gene, you and I can riff on this a little bit. I was interviewed on a podcast the other day called the Real Estate Investing Academy. So I was prepping and listened to a couple of episodes, and he was talking about understanding, like, look at like the California exodus is real. There's states where people are just leaving, like New York City's lost, what is it, several 100,000 residents over the course of 2020 or something like that. So the key is to know where people are moving, right? And to understand the questions that people are asking. One of the guys that works with my agency is based in OC. He's moving to Nashville. They're going from a place where they were living in like a rented house with 2 kids to building a place in Nashville, building their own home, right? So people like that are going to have a lot of questions. If you're that person, if you're that agent in Nashville or Jacksonville or Houston or all those different places, I think those are the people that are going to capitalize initially on the marketing angle of all this stuff. So Gene, let's talk about that a little bit. So if you've got clients that are in those places where people are moving to, what types of questions can you create content about that will catch their attention?
You caught me off guard there because my head's spinning, but I will say this first before you get into that role. I would be making, I guess you can't put the cart before the horse, but I actually would be creating, hopefully you've already been doing this, but creating a referral network all throughout the hotspots in the country, right? So like we already talked, there's 2 guys on this call that we're talking about Florida. So I would be calling some of the places near the beach and some of the places near Tampa. And, we probably know a couple of people in Tampa. I'm not saying because one of them is talking about my bald head. Otherwise, I would mention his name on the show.
He earned himself a persona non grata.
Yes, he did very quickly, I might add. But no, I would be calling people I knew in those areas and making referrals. Just basically saying, hey, look, I'm going to run this campaign here. Here's what we're doing. I'm noticing there's a mass exodus, and I think these are your spot is one of my spots. And so I would love to know how we can strike out a deal. And I just need to make sure that when I send my in-laws down there, that I'm only kidding. My father-in-law's probably watching. He's going to shoot me. But when I send my in-laws down there, you take as good care of them as I would, right?
Yeah.
So back to the question. So ask me the question again. How would I market to the people in my area? What questions would I ask?
Well, let's start with if you're the agent that's working in the areas where people are moving to. So you're the agent in Nashville, Jacksonville, Houston, like the cities where people are moving to escape the New Yorks and the Californias of the world. We'll get to them in a second if you're the agents in those states. But if you're in the areas where yes, as Greg puts a dumpster fire up on here, if you're in one of the non-dumpster fire cities of this great country of ours, where you can actually maybe sit in and have a meal inside without feeling like you're murdering someone, if you're one of those places where people are looking to move to, how would you market yourself so that you can take advantage of the people that are searching online for information? So what types of questions are they asking when they're looking at a city that they don't know anything about? They're thinking about moving all the way across the country.
Oh, man. Wow. So first off, if you've been listening to the show for the last 2 years, hopefully you've put yourself in a decent position where you've started a best of your area's channel and put out all the videos, right? So hopefully if you're doing the right stuff and you're tagging the right keywords and advertising Google PPC based off those keywords that people are searching in California to move to Florida, then hopefully you'll come up, right? So that would be the one thing. I would also start targeting people in a specific area, i.e. state, if we want to go vague and vast. Like I could start marketing towards people in California. And if you know me, I'm not your standard run-of-the-mill, like, I am a great real estate agent in Florida. Call me if you need to move. I would be more like putting up the dumpster fire shit, saying, are you tired of your environment, the political climate? Come see us in Florida, and I'm your guy, right? Like, so I would be throwing up crazy ads in those areas that were capturing attention. And then when people went down that avenue to find out who I was, they would see all the most important things, like me being the expert in my area. The other thing, real quickly, I would do is I would also put ads in front of real estate agents in California and say, hey, we know that a lot of people are moving down into our neck of the woods. If you have somebody thinking about it, why not put them in the best hands and the highest commission when you refer me out? Call me.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, there's some folks I know that have gotten into, educational classes like Bold and different things like that. If you're in the KW world, you know what Bold is. And they do a good job of helping agents around the country kind of keep in touch after they leave those classes. They kind of have like alumni, you can get a hold of the email list, or you can get in Facebook groups and stuff like that. So if there's any resources like that where you can pull on, where you've had something in common with a group of agents that have then since scattered all across the country, that would be something to pull on. Facebook groups are another place to go in and post and say like, hey, where are my agents at in San Diego? I have people inquiring, asking me about moving to Tampa from San Diego, and I can help them out and vice versa. But I want to know like who are my referral agents out there. So yeah, there's different things like that. I like that idea. I definitely like the idea of getting crazy with the ads, and it'd be interesting to see if Facebook would allow overtly political ads like that. Like, are you tired of living in the dumpster fire that is California in 2021? Facebook may strike that for being against its community standards. But I think the other thing that you could do, you talk about videos, you could do an entire video channel, devoted to moving from X to Y, right? You could go old school, like pure direct response marketing. Gene, you and I would love this, which is, seven questions to ask if you're moving from San Diego to Tampa.
Yeah, it's a good one.
What I'm saying, like straight up, and then just slightly alter that for the different cities. Like, hey, if you're used to this, like, hey, if these are your favorite restaurants, we've got these are your Tampa equivalents. If you like this part of San Diego, you'll love this part of Clearwater. Like that, those sorts of things. It's not that hard to put together. You can definitely put it together into video form, but it would be really, really good to have something that you can offer somebody that gets them into your email list.
Yep.
That's one of the things that I was going back through. I don't know how long it's been since you guys went through Russell Brunson's book, .com Secrets. But I just pulled it out. I was waiting for some other books to come, and it was just a really good refresher. He talks about the 3 different types of traffic, right? There's the traffic that you own, there's the traffic you control, and then there's the traffic that you don't control. So the traffic that you own is your email list, your physical mailing list, like things like that, where you can send a message to them and it costs you nothing. You have complete control over how often and what you communicate with them, right? Great. That's the traffic you own. Then there's the traffic you control, which, Gene, you were talking about, like running ads. That's traffic you can control. As long as you pay the check and you write, you plunk down the credit card, you can control where that traffic goes. Then you've got the least valuable traffic, which is the traffic that you don't control. That's everything social media, which is YouTube, I'm saying, like all that stuff. And I think we lose sight of that a lot. It was just a really good refresher to me that the most important thing is to always get more and more people into that category of the traffic that you own. Get people into the email list, get their physical mailing address. You can send them a thank you card or a postcard or something like that. That's the security of your business, the traffic that you own. I think a lot of us, it's so tempting nowadays because we've bought into this idea that social media is marketing, and 100% of our focus goes all towards traffic that we don't control, that we lose sight of that. There's 2 other categories of traffic, and they're more important.
What are they?
It's my rant. Traffic you own and traffic you control.
You know what?
Did you miss the last 60 seconds of the rant?
It's audio.
Greg, I think Greg literally walked up and walked away.
Well, I got up and I got the book, .com Secrets, and I was looking for that right here. If you guys haven't seen
traffic you own, like your email list and your physical mailing list. Traffic you control, which is paid traffic, and then the least valuable is traffic that you don't control, which is social media, YouTube, organic search traffic, stuff like that. So I think there's a lot of cool ideas that we could put out there, but what's funny is most of what you'll hear in marketing today is all focused on that least valuable category of traffic, which is the traffic that you have no control over. They're like, people spend all day giving you ideas on how to reach people, and it's all traffic you don't control. Very few people will come along and tell you to build your freaking email list. Yeah. build a physical mailing list of people that where they live, that you can send them like a direct response letter. And fewer people will tell you like, hey, then the next step is to go pay for ads and send people to your email list. Like this is old school. This is stuff that they taught in the 80s and 90s. And the thing is that it still works.
Well, it does work, but there's 2 sides of that sword. One, you have to be front of house, back of house. What you're talking about is back of house. You kind of the people that already know you, and you're kind of doing like the bookkeeping. Front of house, you're doing the social media, you're doing the clubhouse, you're doing the podcasting, everything else. So there has to be a fine line. And so, Gene, as a marketer, how would you delegate that? I mean, because you have to fill your funnel before you have a funnel. But once you have a funnel, how do you market to that funnel? Then how do you keep filling that funnel on a consistent basis? Because if you don't have one with the other, you're just completely fucked. And I mean, I got a lot of answers, but I want to ask you.
Well, yeah, and you asked about 15 different broad questions there, right? So
I
like,
did.
but no, I'm not taking a shot at you. I just,
There you
there's a bunch of different ways we could go. But the one thing it's interesting you asked it that way is because I'm in the process of going through an iteration in my own head where I have this week designed almost a job description for somebody who would be my communications manager. And here's what I mean by that.
It's Matt.
He's too expensive. I wouldn't. Matt's
I
way
am
too expensive. and I also would be too distracted by his handsomeness on Zoom calls.
That's true. That's true.
It's a new camera. It's all on the camera.
You mean Adam Levine? What?
Adam? No, he's way better looking than Adam Levine, and I will say has a better voice. But listen, I have a I'm trying to think about a communication manager, and what I mean by that is this: I have learned over time. And I bet you, Matt, you would say the same exact thing. My retention is super, super high when I'm engaged with my clients on a regular basis. My engagement is terrible when I follow the shiny object and I'm off to new things and I realize I haven't communicated to my clients in a week. It's the more engaged I am with them on their channels, the less likely they are to leave me, right? And so what I realized is it's heavy on me to continue to market to my database. I have the content, I have the ideas, I have the help, I have the instruction, I have that. But for me to sit down and put the video together and send it out via text or push it on. So in this last week, I've really been, and I think I have somebody earmarked, but I've been really thinking about if I could just have one person to say to them, this week, these are the 3 messages I want to go out. These 2 messages go to the general public. This message and all the other messages go to my circle, right? Mm-hmm. And so in my world, I'm picturing it as people that are paying me on a monthly basis and then everybody else. And this is why I said in the beginning, you asked a lot of questions because the people in my circle that are paying me have already funneled through have already filtered through the funnel. Everybody outside of that is in one stage of the funnel or another. They haven't found it yet, or they're on stage 6, whatever. So I feel like in my world, to simplify this a little bit, I want to get somebody in place that calls me and says, okay, we need to have 4 things this week. I need you to do 2 videos, 1 picture, send this out. And then I can focus on the advertising to new people in the funnel and advertising out to my the content that I do not control, which is my social media presence. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, total sense. So I've set something kind of similar in place, a system, for kind of how we do things. I will say, like, one of the big differences is like Nick Sackis mentions that he opens all my emails. The people that are already in my database, they only hear from me about once a week, and I put care and attention into the email that I write for them. And that includes my clients typically, like they're kind of all in that same email list. However, the people that come in brand new to my email list get a 6-month sequence that I've already laid out that is exactly the perfect first steps that I want them to go through. And that I continually upgrade. So they don't get my newest content until they've been through 6 months of my best content. And that's something that I'm working on getting better at. And I'm going to keep improving that system. And what's funny about that is you can call it a lot of things. Russell Brunson talks about like soap opera sequence, like all this stuff. But what's funny about it is it's exactly what Jeff Cohn does when he buys internet leads, right? Think about what happens when someone like Jeff, like a team leader like Jeff or Lance Loken or Chris Waters, any of those guys that sell between 1,000 and 2,000 homes a year, what they do is they go to the market and they buy traffic, right? They buy attention. They bring it back and they, as quickly as possible, get them to give them an email, right? Get them into their list so that now they own it, right? They're in that list of people they own. But they don't just start sending them, their latest blog post or their latest video or whatever. They start with a sequence of stuff that puts exactly the right information in front of that person, the houses that they want, plus the specific content that they want. Like Greg Harrelson's another great example. Has an entire sequence for buyers or for sellers, depending on how they come into his list, of the exact content he wants them to get. The goal is within 6 months of getting that highly curated content, they convert into doing something with their team. And if not, then they go from there into just getting kind of the run-of-the-mill content they're putting out every week just to kind of keep them warm until they go back into some sequence. So I think that's one of the things. This is the like just the danger of getting distracted by all the other stuff, the shiny object stuff, Gene. You hit the nail on the head, because what ends up happening inevitably is that we get distracted from building that machine. And that's what separates the Jeff Cohns and the Greg Harrelsons from everybody else, is they don't get distracted. Greg Harrelson is not trying to be visible on Clubhouse, because he's buying traffic and he's sending them through a sequence that he knows works because he took the time to build that machine. Now, if he wanted to go get visible on Clubhouse, he could, and he absolutely could spend time doing that, because now he can use all that visibility. And when he sends people over to that system just works. It's like a machine. It takes leads and it turns them into customers. But until you have that machine in place, all the time that you spend trying to get visible is not very effective, because you've got nowhere to send them, if that makes sense. And that's the danger of getting distracted by all this shiny object stuff. So anyway, that's my rant on marketing in 2021, is you're going to hear a lot of stuff, whether it's, Instagram Reels to Clubhouse to whatever new feature Instagram and Facebook come out with. There's always going to be something new, and there's going to be people that scream off, go screaming off in that direction. The problem is there's only two types of people that do that, and that's the people that shouldn't be doing it, who have shiny object syndrome, which is most people. And then you've got a few people that have all their back end systems in place, where the only thing that gets them more sales is just more visibility. So it's like, great, as long as I'm more visible, I make more sales because I send people into this system. The system works. So before you go screaming off and following everybody down the tube, like the shiny object syndrome stuff, just ask yourself, what am I doing with the traffic that I already own? What am I doing with my email list? What about my physical mailing list? What about, am I doing anything with paid traffic to kind of build that? And if not, maybe now is not the time to go on, Clubhouse or something.
Easier said than done.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, is it's a lot easier to get that instant dopamine hit of putting a post or a video out and getting that instant feedback. So you're right.
I don't know. I agree, but I disagree with you.
I know.
But,
it's like there's that part of you that knows that I'm right, and then there's the part of you that never wants me to be right. And those two are always they're always in conflict, because deep down, Greg, you know that it's just right.
Well,
but you won't admit it.
Well, I will admit it, but you're not right. If you were. But I mean, I do understand what you're saying. But I mean, if someone's coming from a point where they're a new agent, they don't have a database, they have to become visible. They can build their Instagram, they can build their CRM. There is that part where people need to get out and be visible and bring value, and be a sponge and suck up information and contribute when they can and everything else, and they can then grow. But yes, when we're talking about Greg Harrelson or any of these other megas, being on Clubhouse, not the best move for their time, right? Because that's not where they need to spend their time. That's not going to bring them any money. It might, make them, have a little reach around and make them feel good and shit, but it's not going to be where it's going to put dollars in their pocket. But a new agent or a newer agent or a reinventing agent or an agent that's coming into a new marketplace or whatever else, I think there is something to be said to be out and be visible on a consistent basis. I mean, our friend Monica Weekly, Coach Monica, she has Ghost Poster, which is her company, which is amazing, by the way. And she gives you one thing a day to post on your Instagram and your Facebook stories so that you can become, consistent in front of people. So you can build that back end. You can build that downline. If you're an EXP, you can build that, that credibility in front of people. So, I mean, you can't say that, you shouldn't be out being visible if you don't have anyone that's that you can market to on the back end. I mean, that's fucking retarded. But
that's true. I agree. If you literally have no one on your database, I agree. Well, one thing that's interesting though is all the year that I spent at Viral Marketing, kind of helping people get started and putting their database together for the first time. We had people come in that they didn't feel like they had a database. Right. What they didn't realize though is that when you export your Facebook friends and your LinkedIn connections and your email list, and you start thinking about all the contacts that you have where you can track down their information just by making some calls and messages and stuff, most people that felt like they didn't have a very big database, I could still put together a database of about 1,000 to 1,500 people for them.
Right. But
I mean, question that. Most people can come up with more than they think.
Right. No, I agree with you, but that's what I'm saying is that yes, you have people that you want to work with, but then you want to grow it. So there's the visibility on the front and then the execution on the back. I mean, our good friend Jake Wolf over at Cleverly, spelled with a K, what he does and has done for me, and Gene works with him as well. He's an absolute master of literally doing exactly what you're talking about, Matt. You get the front end, and then you execute on a master level on the back end in regards to following up, staying in communication, text message, emails, postcards, the whole 9 yards, right?
Yeah.
And you need to find a company. It could be Clever, it could be whatever else you want out there, but just find a company that works well for you, and then execute at a master level on it and just never stop. And that's where a lot of people really get run into an issue. And I've done it myself. I'm not saying I haven't fucking done it myself. I've stopped. I always joke, and Matt, you've heard me say this before on the show, I did things so well I quit doing them. And I'm like,
yeah, they work so well you quit doing them. Yeah, exactly. Yes, you do. You are legendary for that, Greg. They work so well, I quit doing them. Oh my God.
But
well,
it's true.
Here's the risk. So when you talk about and you have such a heart for newer agents, reinventing agents, restarting agents, that's not always the first people I think of. I think of, people that are a little bit more established, and that's the difference part of the difference between us. If you're brand new and you're starting out, or you're restarting, or you move to a new city or something like that, you're right. You may not have a great back end. You may not have a great database. If you only email people,
you might have a good back end.
You might have a good back end.
You never know.
That remains to be seen. That's a different podcast. That's a whole different thing. We'll have to have rating cards and judging competition. Anyway,
hot or not.
Exactly. I don't know. There definitely needs to be at least one decimal point rating system. But anyway, point being, you may not have a great back end that you can leverage. That's fine. One of the things that I noticed that distracts agents is once they get onto the hamster wheel of social media, they never ever get off. Right, which means they can never take a day off, because their only business it's like a fire that runs on lighter fluid, and you never put a log into the fire. You can never walk away from that fire. You literally have to keep feeding it every second, every minute to keep on feeding it. So it's not that it's bad. It's like lighter fluid works. It starts a fire. But if you want the fire to burn without you actively being there all the time, you have to start putting sticks, and then logs into the fire. And those, like the logs of the fire, is having an email list, having a mailing list, having, being able to go out and buy some traffic, being able to run Facebook ads that exactly what they cost to get more people into your email list. Right. So you end up building this fire that you can walk away from an hour, a day, 5 days a week, and the fire keeps burning. And then you come back and you squirt a little bit more lighter fluid on it, and you get it to burn hotter again. So that's where I have a heart for people, is people that get trapped in the hamster wheel of always chasing those shiny objects, and they end up with a fire that they have to just keep babysitting.
Right. I hear you on that, but I mean, again, you and I are going to disagree, and this is why we have such a good time on this show, is because the show's good friend, Miss Stevie Hahn, out of Jacksonville, Florida. She started as a baby agent when I first met her. She started watching the show like 5-6 years ago. Whenever we started the show, it's been a minute, right? Mm-hmm. She now gets 85% of her business from social media. Now, does she need to throw gasoline on that thing every single day? 100%. I completely agree with you on that one. But something that I know you have a heart for viral marketing, and I've worked with them for a long period of time. But I mean, I understand where you're coming from when it says like you can just let it run, but you can't. I mean, there's a lot of still work you have to do in the back end in regards to kind of nurturing your database, staying in touch with people, and everything else. So, walk me through what your thought pattern on that is, because I don't agree with you.
Like, how do you actually walk away from it?
Well, I don't see how that works. It doesn't work that way. So you still have to be in touch with these people, even on a more consistent basis, because these are the relationships you've already made. And if you aren't going to make the relationships on a consistent basis and stay up with them, then they're going to go work with Steve, or actually not Steve. Steve's a dick. But We're going to talk about Bob from Remax. I mean, we know we hate that motherfucker.
Bob, that's right. Okay. Bronx Jones says, does someone lock Matt in a basement somewhere? Do they send a basket? Oh, because the wall is black. No, this is my chalkboard wall behind me. I am very much not locked in the basement. There's a nice, beautiful view of a palm tree just that way. Nick Sackett says,
wait real quick. You should start jotting down subliminal messages behind you in chalk before the show.
I should. That's right.
You have to read Nick Sackett's quote right here.
Matt, so okay. Nick Sackett says, so Matt drops logs and Greg pees lighter fluid. Basically, yes, thank you,
Nick.
Nick.
Left me out of that.
That's right. It was a terrible marketing metaphor. Okay. So the question is, okay, to keep up with your database, it feels like it's just a different hamster wheel. I would argue that's not true, because it's a lot easier to communicate with traffic that you own versus traffic that you don't. And I'll give you a great example. If you have an email list of 5,000 people and you send an email to those people, your open rates, if you're sending them good emails, are going to be what, 20, 30%. If you have 5,000 friends on Facebook, or God forbid, you have 5,000 fans on your Facebook page, if you put a post up on Facebook, you're talking about 1 to 5% of people see that post. So email right off the bat beats a Facebook post by 4 or 5 times.
Well, no, that's not accurate. I mean, it depends on what your subject matter is, what your headline is. It depends. I mean, I've been working with viral for a long period
fellow
of time.
Marketer.
No,
are my numbers off?
No, they're not. But here's what's weird. There's another intangible that we're
not. Told you, Johnson.
Well, no, but you made me think about something. It's curious. Like, so inside your, let's just say email versus your Facebook business page, right? There's an algorithm that gets in the middle of that, right? Yes. So there's a business that's being run that says, we're not going to give you as much open rate, quote unquote, open rate as your email will, because we want you to pay for it. Sort of like the email companies will say, look, you can have up to 2,000 subscribers. Once you get to 2,100, we want some money, right? So, but here's what's interesting. You're making me think, and I don't have a full, this is going to be normal for me. This is not a fully formed thought. Yeah.
Sadly, Gene, not a rarity for you.
But listen.
Well, to be fair, it's not a rarity for the show in general. We throw out lots of unformed thoughts.
That's true. But listen, so think about the Instagram, right? So you have one part of Instagram that's the feed. And the feed is forced to you, and there's an algorithm behind it, right? So like if Matt posts, if I'm really engaged with his posts, they may show it to me, but it's going to be a small percentage of all my friends that post. That is a reactive marketing tactic from my perspective. If I want to see what Matt's selling that day, quote unquote selling, I have to go after him in the feed. Oh, I shouldn't say that. They can feed me that, right? On the flip side, the story is, it's more of a proactive ask. So Gene is going in and saying, I want to see what Matt's doing today, and I got to navigate to his bubble and click it to actually find it. How do we turn that reactive marketing into proactive marketing? Like, in other words, create an internal bubble for your business where people go out of their way to seek the content that you're giving them and the services that you're selling them. Did that make sense?
That's an interesting question. People have tried to do it. They've tried to come up with apps where it's specifically for communicating with the companies that you care about and that you want to hear from. So you can kind of exclude other marketing messages, but you have a place to go where you actually do want to hear from people that are technically selling something, but you actually do want their content. We don't have a great place for that right now. The best place for it is in email. Right. I mean, I've almost I'm contemplating, like right now I have, my main email, like a lot of the things I've signed up for coming through there, and I will go seek it out in there. Or I have specific people on Twitter that every day I specifically go and I literally go to their Twitter feed. I don't even have a Twitter account. I intentionally deleted it in protest. But I still go because I want to hear from those people. And that's where they've chosen to stay on that platform. So their content is so good that I will go seek them out and I will go to their Twitter blog, or I'll go to their regular blog, or whatever the case is.
Let me ask you.
There are places like that where, look, if your content is good and people want it, they will seek you out. But right now, the only place where they can, it's separate from there's not an algorithm standing between you and the people you want to reach.
Right.
It's email or it's direct mail. It's one of those two things.
Well, I would agreed with you about 2 months ago on that one.
You would have agreed with me if it was anybody saying it but me. Let's just be honest, Greg. It's like, what you're saying sounds great, but if you could stop saying it and have Gene say it, I would agree with you.
I hear wow, 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 wow. Okay, done. What I've found is very.
You know that I love you, right?
Yes, that's why we fucking banter. This is the fun part about this, because we're best of friends, business partners, and co-hosts, co-founders of this show, and everything else. And that's why we get to fight about this stuff, because it's a fun, interesting concepts. But Clubhouse, and this is what I found about Clubhouse, is that who did I start a room with the other day? Oh, Aaron Wittenstein. He and I started this, like he and I were talking. We just started a dumb, two dumb rooms. One was about like, tell us your craziest stories in real estate. People flocked to that thing. We had hundreds of people in there telling their stories. Then we started another room yesterday about marketing and scripts and everything else. And then we had another hundreds of people in there. And it's building that bond, getting people into your Instagram. So it doesn't have to be specifically old school tactics like emails in your database. You can build a new sphere, a new tribe of people if you talk about content that they're interested in on a marketplace where they have an opportunity to have a word and put their 2 cents in. There's a value add to that. And there's no way to do that unfortunately, on podcasts, because it's a one-way communication. Facebook Live's one-way communication. Stories on Instagram and Facebook, one-way communication. But when you get the other people involved and they can tell what's going on in their life and ask real live questions and bring value to the conversation, bring other people in as moderators and speakers, there's something there, man. And I think I've developed relationships with people around the country that I've never spoken with in the world. And these people have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of followers, purely because we got on stage together and we had a conversation. And I DM'd them and we went back and forth. And you can put them in your database, and then you can put them into that email follow up. Right. But there is
really is, what do you do with it?
Well, it's build a relationship,
right? You build a relationship, but then what do you do? Yeah, then what do you do with like how do you take that traffic that you don't have any control over and turn it into traffic that you do have control over? Like I talked to a gentleman the other day who is in the executive coaching space, and he got into LinkedIn's newsletter pilot program, built a subscriber list of 60,000 people to his LinkedIn newsletter. No joke. Yeah, very, very, very good. But now the question is like, okay, well, clearly LinkedIn is pushing this right now, but how long is that going to last? Who knows, right? It's a new feature, right? So any new feature, the social media companies are going to push for a while. But then what happens? Well, they slam down the algorithm, right? All of a sudden you can't reach the same number of people. So it's like, that cycle is going to happen. So we were just chatting through ways to get people from that subscription platform, like on LinkedIn, and over to, either liking his personal profile on LinkedIn so that they're actually connected with him personally and get the rest of his content outside the newsletter. Or how do you get those people to get over to an opt-in where you can get them into his email list? Because that's really where the security of a strategy like that is if you're going to reach a bunch of people through something like that, it's great to have people reading your content. But if LinkedIn decides tomorrow that the newsletter pilot program was a massive failure and they turn it off, you lose those 60,000 people, and that did you no good. Maybe some of those relationships will carry over, but the vast majority will not. So the question is, what do you do with that traffic? And the unfortunate part is just the constant drumbeat of social media is marketing. Social media equals marketing. That whole drumbeat, it lulls people to sleep. And they spend so much time chasing the attention, chasing the visibility, that they never even ask themselves the question, how do I take the relationship to the next step? So it's like speed dating, speed dating, right? Speed dating, you meet a lot of people, you build a lot of relationships. But if your goal is to get married, more speed dating is not necessarily the answer. And because if you never go on a second date with somebody, you're not going to get married.
Right. I wouldn't know that. I'm in a confident relationship with a very solid girl. So I don't know. I couldn't speak to the speed dating, Matt. I'm sorry for you.
Oh, thanks. But I can't. It's just me. That's fine. So you're in a committed relationship. Therefore, I don't know anything about that whole dating scene.
So one of the things that actually Jake Wolf over at Clever Leads does, and he has a post up here I'm going to read in a second, is that he has his VAs and they're going in and they're leveraging social media, and he's getting a lot of their contact information, and then he's putting it back into his database, which is genius. He has like 100 or 200,000 people that are already in there from his VAs doing the work. So to answer your question, you can do the social media as long as you get their information, put them into your CRM, and then do the follow, then nurture the relationship. And yes, you can leverage social media, you can leverage all of these things, but you have to be tactical about this stuff. You can't just be all willy-nilly about it. I mean, Gene is sitting there like a fucking troll under the bridge and not saying shit, which really weirds me out. So would you please give me your 2 cents?
I assume Gene is he's exploring conspiracy theories while he's on the show. Just read.
I was doing a show on Clubhouse.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Listen, Can you guys hear that? My power. I don't know if you saw it, my
music.
power went out, and my
Okay.
my UPS is making an awful noise. You can't hear that, can you?
No.
No.
Okay,
No,
that's what I was. That's actually what I was doing.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, fun stuff. Okay, so anything else you want to talk or openly disagree with about
Yes, I do.
in
Yes.
marketing right now, Gene?
Yeah,
What do you got?
Yeah, it's along these lines. I mean, I'm surprised. I've done a couple podcasts today, and I've been talking to a bunch of people, and I feel like maybe it's only my news feed that's going crazy. But this whole Zillow buying showing time, to me, I feel like agents are losing their collective minds, and I'm just curious about your opinions on it.
No, they are. They lost it. People were losing their marbles on it on Clubhouse yesterday, and I agree with them. It's and then people are talking about antitrust rules and laws. They're talking about like, what if EXP or Coldwell Banker, if they were out there to, you know, because EXP's got billions of dollars that they're raking in right now, right? So if they went out there and they picked up another company that would then just completely dominate the local marketplace, how does that operate? And I was just like, that's a really interesting conversation to have. And I listened to it for a while, then I got bored and I left. But because nobody said anything exciting or interesting anymore. But it is an interesting time. I don't use showing time, so it's not I don't have a dog in the fight. But I know, Matt, you're not an active agent. Gene, you work with a lot of agents. I mean, guys, thoughts on this thing and kind of where do you see this thing going?
What do you think, Matt?
Well, I think Arne is right about Greg. It's not that big. Clam down or calm down.
Shut up, Arne. I'm gonna go and smack your midget ass.
I don't know how Arne knows how big anything of Greg's is, but she has correctly pointed out that it's not that big, so she must have firsthand knowledge. Anyway, Arne, I love you. If that, I don't mean to offend you, but that was pretty. I mean, you put yourself out there with that comment, so I have to.
Arne has to sit on phone books to just to drive her car. I mean,
that is true.
Let's talk. Let's
she is a short human being.
She's not here to defend herself, by the way.
No, she's not.
That is true. Well, believe me, she can defend herself virtually just fine. She'll hit us up on Facebook afterwards.
Do you see that?
Vegas.
Oh yeah, that's Arne's.
That's an Arne special. She sent it to me.
Oh, nice. That's
hold on. I'm gonna bring you up on stage. Hold on.
Oh, she's here. Oh boy.
Do it again. No, do it.
Oh, maybe. Oh.
Show it again. Show it again.
I got it. There we go.
Vegas strong. And it's
those that are listening and can't see what we're showing, go to the YouTube channel and you can see what Gene is showing to the camera. But it's a very lovely piece of artwork.
And look, I won't read the whole thing because it's personal, but it says a lot of things about me being very handsome and debonair on the back.
I'm sure it does. All right, so showing time. Let's let the antitrust stuff is always. I haven't seen a lot of that talk yet because I've just kind of noticed the showing time stuff start to show up in my feed as well. The antitrust stuff always strikes me as funny because if you know anything about like category design, category economics, or if you read Chris Lockhead's book Play Bigger, you know that most of like technology is not driven by true monopolies where somebody says we have outlawed any competitor to this company, right? It's more about people choose to use what's easiest, and what ends up becoming number one people like, and the more people like it, the more people like it. And it ends up being that the majority of people use one company's stuff, not because of a monopoly, but just out of convenience.
Right.
And because that's the way our brains work. Right. So the less friction there is, the more we tend to gravitate towards one company. And that's not like there's, so if somebody buys, if Facebook buys Instagram and Instagram is the most popular photo sharing app, it's like, that's not a monopolistic thing to do. Just people, you can start another photo sharing app today. Just like the guys, started Instagram. Like you start a competitor, go ahead. So the antitrust stuff always it makes me laugh because that's not what antitrust was really created to break up, was tech companies buying other tech companies that are just doing things that consumers like.
Well, they were talking about the fact that like if one company can dominate a space, right, and if Zillow is going to be one a platform and a brokerage, and then they buy additional entities to then dominate the space, where does that stop? And when does that become against the law?
It doesn't.
Exactly. It doesn't. If you can start a competitor to Showing Time tomorrow with $100,000, then irrelevant to me.
And by the way, even if you are Google and you're squashing other companies that are up and coming, you still can't get in trouble, right?
Define squashing.
Yeah,
squashing as in handing them millions of dollars to go walk away and then shutting the company down after they sign the deal. Like that's not.
You mean Facebook?
Wait, what are we talking about? Facebook?
We're talking. Well, when you talk about Google squashing companies, Google can't squash anyone. all they can do is go in and offer them to buy them and
can't.
then not keep the company going after they take the deal and take the money.
Yeah, but
no. Zuckerberg has been multiple times, and yes, you can shut down the show because I say this, but he has been proven that when he tried to buy a couple of different companies, you know what? He just went over and went to his dev team being like, fuck these motherfuckers. You know what? Build exactly what they're fucking doing. We're going to crush them. That is squashing.
Well, yeah, but that's legal.
Again, that's all. That's just competition.
Yeah, that's legal. That's
like you taking on the number one agent in your city and going, I'm going to crush him. Well, that's not you showing up with a gun and telling him he can't sell homes anymore. That's just you.
Yeah, but wait, here's what I was saying. With
what's up, Arne?
Oh, Arne.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I can't believe Greg actually sent you a link and brought you on the show.
Of course I did.
I know it's been too long. Gene, thank you so much. You are the sweetest ever.
I have it. It sits on my desk. I got it right here all the time.
I'm so happy. That makes me so happy.
Listen, I know you put a lot into it, and it was an absolutely sweet gesture, and I don't take that stuff lightly.
Thanks.
And that was a long time ago, wasn't it? That was a long time ago.
That was like 2 years ago.
There you go. October 1st, 2019.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, when we all thought life was normal, and
I know we actually went to a winery and we hung out in person and we watched a band play with other people in the crowd. You know what I'm saying?
No, I watched the band play. Matt sat inside, and you didn't want to go outside. Arne and I were out there like, ah!
Oh my god, yeah, we were right in front of the stage screaming and dancing.
You may be slightly more into 80s hair metal than I am. Yes. Slightly.
Whatever.
So Arne, let's we'll ask this. We have a hard stop in less than 5 minutes.
Yes.
Let's talk about marketing really quickly. Two things that you do with social media, some of the secrets that you're putting into business, because I want to get your opinion on this, because I just love you as a human.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm actually doing something this weekend that is going to be a kind of different sort of marketing thing.
Speed dating like Matt?
No. Nope. So we are down to 2 weeks of inventory in Vegas. We have less than 3,000 homes available for sale out of 2.2 million people in the whole county. Damn. And so my broker jokingly said, you guys should go out to a major intersection and hold up a sign that says, I'm a realtor, I'll get you top dollar, take my card. And I was like, I'm going to do it. And he was like, seriously, do it. And so my friend and I were talking about what hashtag I should use, because I was like, don't I need a hashtag that's already big? And he was like, no. You're going to reverse engineer it. You're going to create your own hashtag. So when people see you, if they use the hashtag and, make whatever comment and post your picture on social media, then you can look them up backwards. And I was like, oh my God.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to be standing on a street corner this weekend.
Okay, we're not going to take that in any weird way. Arne's working the street corner this weekend.
That's right.
But I'm gonna be in an upscale neighborhood.
I'll say that definitely makes it more worth your time. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
So we went from hooker to call girl. Is that what happened?
Something like that. Yes. The metaphors are mixed at best. Yes.
Yes.
Hold on 1 second. I want to drop something in here real quick. It's kind of interesting you said that. And now that I'm putting 2 and 2 together, it's interesting that it's this weekend. I used to have I still have the friend, but we would talk about, she was a broker. And on Valentine's Day, she would go out into an intersection and hand out chocolate covered hearts on like a lollipop with her card attached to it. And Sunday happens to be Valentine's Day. So I don't know if you wanted to, you know what I mean? Like if you want to add a little bit of flair and come up with some kind of like catchphrase for your hashtag that has to do with the hearts. I don't know. Just a thought. It was weird how it came together.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good idea. And I'm sure the bougie Dollar Tra sells something that I could use.
Yep.
There's a gentleman who's handicapped here in Walnut Creek, and he works a corner, not in the weird way. That's just where he works, and he sells homemade soap, excuse me, that his friends and family help him make. But he sits on this corner. It's a very popular corner, right in downtown, and this fucker cleans up. And he just sits there. He's an overweight individual sitting in a wheelchair, with obviously physical disabilities. But this guy really, I mean, he puts himself out there. And every time I see him, his name is Fred. I'm like, Fred, what's up? What's up, man? He's like, hello, how are you? I don't buy the soap because it's too fluffy for me. But I mean, I love his ambition. So I think you should do exactly what Gene just said. Just get real, get weird, have fun, do something completely out of the box.
Buy the soap.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt's going to leave us. Matt just left us.
Just give it away.
Matt just broke up with us. He just left.
Oh, wow. I have 1 minute until I have to be in a meeting.
My goodness. That was an Irish accent if I ever saw one.
Yeah.
He went.
Yeah, he's like,
right?
It's like, bye. Yeah. Okay. I'm out.
I think he was sending us messages behind the scenes here.
He was.
Got a bill. Yeah, he said, got a bill, guys.
I was texting him. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Arne, I want everybody, we're going to close the shop up. We've been doing this for 50 minutes. So we got to lock it down. Arne, tell everybody where you are, what you do for a living besides working street corners, and how they can get in touch with you.
I am in Las Vegas. I am a realtor, and I serve all of Clark County, all the corners. And you can find me on Twitter or Instagram under Arne Dodd, or you can call me. Can I give out my number?
Yeah, go.
Sure. What the hell? It's YouTube. It's 203-589-2821.
All right. There it is, guys. Get a hold of Arne. She is a phenomenal small human. She sits on phone books when she drives and uses, wood pegs to push the gas. It's absolutely phenomenal to watch.
It is. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Gene Volpe, the Volpinator. Who are you? Where are you from? How do they get a hold of you? And what the fuck do you do for a living?
I'm Gene Volpe from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They're not getting in touch with me. I'm all booked up. I want to show you something though. Look. Wait, take that away. You like the new gear? You like that new gear?
Money Nation. Hashtag Money Nation.
Yeah, buddy.
Hashtag Money Nation.
I'm going to be dropping some hot shit in a little bit of time. But for now, GeneVolpe.com. Hit your boy up.
I love it, guys. Gene is the man. Arne, as much as I pick on her, she is a dear, dear, dear friend of mine. I love her to pieces. That's why I brought her on. If Matt didn't Blackheart on us so hard, you guys can go get his Micro Famous book. I do make fun of him about it, but it is actually a phenomenal piece of literature. He did a lot of good work in it. So if you guys want to get it, go to microfamous.com and he can send you a copy. You pay for the shipping, and then that's about it. But great book, how to be hyper local in your marketplace. Guys, if you want to get in touch with me, just go ahead and DM me on Instagram or Facebook. Greg McDaniel, REU on Instagram, and Greg McDaniel on Facebook, as you guys probably know because you're watching this. Send me a message. I'd love to connect with you. I have a great product I'm just putting out there right now. It's called List and Sell Like Crazy. And it is absolutely insane. It's only a couple $100, guys, and I'll give you your money back if you don't like it. But it's something you guys can absolutely do, or we can just do a free coaching call. Either way. But since I have you guys on the line, and yes,
can I get my money back on our friendship?
Oh,
I love you.
I don't even know what to say to that. Damn,
I love you. I love you, you strangely tall man.
Okay, micro midget. Guys, we are hiring for our EXP team. Go ahead and reach out to me on that one as well. We are growing, we're expanding. We have the largest EXP team in all of Australia right now, and we're growing there. We're growing all over the US. So we are hiring. Give us a holler. But Gene, since Arne, you are now our co-host because Matt decided to just give us the giant middle finger.
Yeah, I was going to say, let her do it. Absolutely, let her do it.
What?
Oh, she's never done it, has she?
I doubt it.
Go. Okay, Arne, you have a new job right now. Do you know what it is?
I'm the new Las Vegas chapter president for the LGBTQ Real Estate Alliance.
Okay, that works too, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this.
Close, but no.
Close. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, but you missed the nail. I need you to pick a color for the bow to put on the show. So what color are you going to make this bow for the show?
Oh,
rainbow?
Red.
Okay.
No, red.
Okay.
You said rainbow.
I did say rainbow.
Rainbow or red because I love you guys.
Okay.
I love that.
There it is, guys. That's our show. Thank you so much. We truly appreciate you. We have a red bow on the show. Go to any place that you watch or listen to this podcast. Give us a 5-star, not a 2-star, because that helps the algorithm serve it up to more folks. You get to, interact with people like Arne, Aaron, Gene, Matt, any other amazing guests we have on here. So thank you from the deepest part of my heart. We cannot do this show without you. So thank you so much. And until next time, have a beautiful, blessed, powerful weekend. But peace out, ninjas. We're motherfucking gone.